Hello, hello. Welcome to Underthinking, the channel where I don't think that I'm overthinking. I just think that some people are underthinking. And if you guys don't know me, hello, my name is Katie. I have a travel and lifestyle channel over here on YouTube that I've been doing for about 8 years, but I decided recently to start this second channel that's all mindset, psychology, mental health, philosophy, and all that kind of stuff. And this channel is definitely for curious people, deep thinkers, people who always want to know the why of the why and all the reasoning of things. And if you've ever been called an overthinker from someone else, maybe you belong on this channel, because sometimes I don't think we're overthinking. Sometimes I just think that we are like really deep thinkers and other people might just not think as much as we do, and so they call us overthinkers. Nuh-uh. Maybe they're just underthinkers. All right, so in today's video, I wanted to talk about New Year's resolutions. I know it is just early January. I'm actually recording it on January 2nd, so it is like a brand new year right now. Happy New Year. And I just want to talk about New Year's resolutions because I kind of think that they generally don't work. And I just wanted to tell you guys why, share my opinions, and then share what I believe actually could work and actually could be beneficial to you. Okay, so New Year's resolutions. I actually literally looked up the definition of a New Year's resolution versus a goal, right? And what I found was that a resolution is generally a trajectory that we'd like to take in our lives, a promise to yourself, something usually more open-ended than a goal. So examples might be eating healthier or focusing on loved ones more or managing finances better. So it's kind of like, I want to do this more. I want to do this less. I want to do this better. And so they're a little bit more open-ended, more like ideas. And then if we're talking about goals, goals are more targeted. They're more of a desired outcome that you hope to attain, a more precise outcome and endpoint. And so they are just more precise. You're not going to have an actual goal that just says, I want to lose weight. That's more of an idea. That's more of the side of the resolution. But an actual goal might be, I want to lose 10 pounds, and here's exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm going to eat fewer calories. I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week. And then 3 times a week, I'm also going to walk 2 miles. Like, you actually have steps that are going to be taken that you can actually work towards this actual goal. It's, I want to lose 10 pounds and here's how, versus I want to eat healthier, you know? And so that was kind of the definition difference that I found online. So in terms of resolutions and why I do not think that they work, I have several reasons. So stick with me. Let me know what you think in the comments, please. Really, one of the things that I really want to do on this channel is have some conversations in the comments. I always want to hear your ideas as well, because I'm never going to just say I'm right, you're wrong. It's more, here are my ideas. I'm curious what you think as well. And so anyway, so one reason that I do not think resolutions will work is because they're trendy. People just kind of, oh, it's the new year, I got to think of something that I want to do. And then you just kind of come up with something because everyone else is doing it. And so not only is it potentially not a well thought out thing that you actually truly deeply want or feel led to, but also you might just be doing it because everyone else is doing it. It's a popular thing. It's something that kind of our culture just kind of does together. And so therefore it might, again, not always, but it might make it just more, oh crap, I got to think of something. Let me just think that I will be more patient this year. And then you think about it and then you say, that's my New Year's resolution. And then a week later, you just forget about it because in reality, you weren't actually doing it for the right reasons. And you didn't even really have any intention to be focused on it. You didn't really have any intention to actually follow through with it. It was kind of more like, oh, I'm just going to do it because everyone else is doing it. It's trendy. It's just kind of what we do. It's just kind of something that we say, right? That could be one reason. Again, not everyone's like that, but that could be one reason. Another reason is because of how vague they are. I do not really think that we can actually accomplish something that is that vague. Again, not always, okay? Basically, whenever I talk about this stuff, it is general ideas, right? Because sometimes people make resolutions and they really stick with them and they really accomplish them, okay? But most of the time, I'm kind of talking generally, okay? So a lot of resolutions are just more vague. And I think if something is super vague and you don't exactly know what you want, and again, if you don't really feel truly led to it, then you're not going to accomplish it because you don't even know what you're accomplishing. You don't even actually know what the real goal is if it's that vague, more of an idea, you know? And I think on top of that, if it's just a resolution, just an idea, you're not going to want to hold yourself accountable. You're not going to have that discipline. It's just going to be more of an idea that pops up. It's kind of like if you think, I'm going to eat healthy this year, but you don't have a true goal. You don't really have your steps planned out. You don't have a meal plan. You don't have an exercise plan. If you don't have any of that, if you just have the idea, I'm going to eat healthier, you know what is just more likely to happen? It is possible that you're just going to find any excuse to not eat healthy because you're not actually disciplined on it. If you have the goal, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, and if you are actually disciplined on that goal, then even if someone offers you dessert, you're going to say, no, my goal is to lose weight. And so today I'm choosing to not have dessert. Or if someone offers you seconds, or if someone says, do you want to go to this buffet or whatever, you have in your head if that is a good idea for you or not. You have in your head, actually, yes, I am good having dessert, or no, I don't want to have dessert today, but it's something that you're actually thinking about, and you're actually thinking, okay, is this the good decision for me and my goal? If it's just an idea, then you might just be like, oh, I'm going to eat healthy, but I'll have dessert today. I'll have ice cream tomorrow. I'll have ice cream for breakfast tomorrow with 3 glasses of champagne. And you might actually not focus on it because you'll either find any excuse to just kind of still lead the life that you're already living. But also on top of that, if you don't have the discipline, it's just going to be so much harder to actually stick with it or truly find any desire to stick with it. And you guys know that I'm not really big on just doing things that you feel like doing, but if you have the discipline, then you won't even just focus on your feelings. But if you only have the resolution, you might end up just focusing more on what you're feeling like. So if I have a goal of going to the gym 5 times a week, I'm going to be disciplined about it and I'm going to do it whether I want to or not. Obviously, sometimes we make mistakes. There are exceptions to that. However, it's going to be a lot more likely that you'll succeed versus I have a resolution of going to the gym more this year. Then it might be the 3rd week of March and you're like, oh, I haven't gone yet, but I'll go today. And then you go today and then you don't go for another 3 weeks and you're like, well, I went that one time. It's just more likely you'll make excuses and you'll backtrack and you'll fail and you just won't really care about it as much. Again, just generally. And P.S., I'm not saying that if you're eating healthier that you cannot have dessert. That's not what I'm saying. I just know that for yourself, you're going to decide what route is actually best. And that is just more likely if you have a proper goal that actually has steps and focus and discipline. So yeah, I basically wrote, don't get me wrong, having ideas of how you want to change are great. But if you just want to eat healthier without defining what that even means to you, then how are you going to know if you're staying on track? Like, what does healthy even mean? How are you even going to know if you're actually doing what you want to be doing? How do you know when you're achieving it? How do you know when you're failing? And then also, you'll probably make more excuses if you just have an idea versus a goal. Okay, so the next reason that I don't really like New Year's resolutions is because I believe if you have an idea of something that you want to change about yourself, something that you want to change about your surroundings, any goal that you might have in your life to do something different, work on something, I always think that it's best to start it right when you think about it. I don't think that putting it off until New Year's, oh, I'll do that next year. Oh, I'll do that for New Year's. That'll be my New Year's resolution. I don't think that that's always the best thing to do because why are you putting off this goal, right? So if you think in October, I want to start going to the gym. Let's just use weight loss as an example because that is something that is very, very common that people talk about in the beginning of the year. But so let's say it's October and you're like, I want to start going to the gym more, but I'm going to start it. That's going to be my New Year's resolution. Why? Why don't you just start now? You know what I mean? I think the only realistic, in my personal opinion, the only realistic reason that you might be like, you know what, I'm going to start this goal on January 1st. I have like 3 reasons. One of them is if you think of the goal on January 1st or December 31st or something like that. If you think on December 31st at 8 p.m., I'm going to start going to the gym and then you start going the next day, I think that's pretty good, right? Because you're doing it right when you thought about it. The only other reasons I think to potentially put off a goal to say January 1st is if you need to save money, but let's be really specific here. Starting to save money is technically starting your goal. So you might think of something in October, I want to start going to the gym, but the gym might be, the cheapest gym is Planet Fitness. You can go to one location of Planet Fitness for $10 a month, but you're like, you know what? I need to make sure that I have that $10 a month. Or if you want to go to like really fancy gym, I need to make sure I have that $100 a month. So you might actually postpone the start date of going to the gym for a couple months for you to save the money or just make sure it's in your budget. I totally get that. Sometimes we do need to save money for a goal that we have. However, hear me out here. You can start saving that money today. You can still start saving that money the second that you think about it. So say it's October and you're like, I want to start going to the gym. You know what? I'm looking at my budget. I'm thinking about how much money I take in, how much money I can save. Realistically, I can start in 2 months. So then it just happens to be January. Okay. That totally makes sense. However, you actually start saving and planning in October.
Hey guys, Editing Katie here. I forgot to say this in the video somehow, but obviously it also makes sense to potentially have a goal in the future if you need to take off work, get childcare, plan something with other people where multiple people need to take off work, if you are about to graduate school, things like that. There obviously are some things that timing is involved. Or if you really want to go on a trip and you want to go where the weather is a specific way, stuff like that. You know what I mean? There are definitely several reasons why you're not going to accomplish a goal right this second. I'm just bringing up all these points to say that we also don't only have to do things on January 1st because it's New Year's.
And then the last reason that I think that maybe waiting till January is realistic or a good idea is if your goal is in October or March of the year before or whatever, but it's something that you want to go on a cruise, you want to take a vacation, you want to start a class, something like that, that also relies on other people and potentially something else that is already planned, like a class. And so that might also be something too. You think of it in March and you're like, you know what? I want to get my whole family together to go on a cruise. And the cruise happens to be in January or happens to be, in the summer or whatever it is. And so that's another reason that a goal might not happen. Lots of goals might not happen the second that you think of it. Say you're starting a business or that you want to move to a different state or something. A lot of those goals do take time to actually develop and actually achieve. However, most of those goals, the same with if you want to go on a cruise, most of those goals you can start today. You can start saving that money today. You can start planning, looking up flights, looking up cruises, looking up classes that you might want to take, looking up apartments that you might want to move into, So even if accomplishing that goal might take you a couple months, might take you even a couple years, you can start today. And so that's another reason why it's like, oh, I'll start going to the gym on New Year's. Well, you can either, if you're thinking of that in October, you can actually either start saving the money and making sure that it's in your budget, or you can just start going in October if you have that money. You can just start going when you think about it. And so that's the other reason that I really don't like New Year's resolutions, is because I think that some people might actually have a goal and might actually have an idea of something that they want to work on or change or put effort into. But they might be so stuck on the idea of New Year's resolutions, or again, with the cultural norm of New Year's resolutions, that it might be November, but they're like, oh, I'll just wait till New Year's, because there are just so many things that we do as a society that we just kind of blindly accept. I know we all do that sometimes, and some people do it more than others. And this is one of those things that I think sometimes people just blindly accept, that they don't fully pay attention to the goals that they have for themselves. They only just kind of think, oh, it's New Year's, let me just think of a resolution to have, or I do have a goal, but I'll just wait till New Year's because that's kind of when everyone else does it, and so I'm just kind of here to remind you that if you have a goal, if you have something in your life that you want to change about yourself, that you want to work on, that you want to grow, that you want to start a business, you want to go on a cruise, that you want to better yourself in any way, if you want to do anything, you can start it now. Again, you might need to save money. You might need to take a lot of time to plan it. But if you never start, then you'll never accomplish it. So I think starting now, even if it's making a plan, starting to save that money, writing down some details, really understanding what this goal is and why you want it. I think those things you can do basically right now. You can start all those right now. And I don't mean right now, early January. I mean right now, whenever, anytime throughout the year that you have a goal, that you feel led to do something, like you feel like God is leading you to do something, or you just like really feel strongly about something, you can start that whenever. You really, really can. And so hear me out. There are definitely people who thrive with their New Year's resolutions, and that is great. I just, however, think that that is the minority. I really do think that the majority of people who make New Year's resolutions either are not really serious about it, they're not really going to make a plan to implement it, they're not going to have the discipline, they're not going to have the focus, they're not going to stick with it, and they're probably not even going to care if they stick with it or not because it's just a New Year's resolution. But if you see it as a proper goal, it's just going to look a lot differently in your life, and you're just more likely to actually achieve it and to actually hold yourself to some certain standards. You know what I mean? Because also I think it is kind of common in American culture. You have a resolution, but nobody sticks with them, and so if you do fail at it, you probably feel a little bit better about yourself because everyone else fails too. But you know what? If you have a goal, you might fail at it too. But I only think that it actually counts as a true failure is if you take a step back. If something fails, if you take a step back, if you fall, if you mess up, if you get off track, I think it only really counts as a true failure if you never get back up again, if you don't keep going. All of our goals are going to have backtracks. All of our goals we're going to step off, or we're going to mess up. Not all, but a lot of them. We're going to mess up sometimes. But if you get back up, if you keep going, if you're like, you know what, I messed up, but that does not matter, I'm going to keep going, then you're not a failure. And I think some people are just so afraid of failure that they don't even want to have discipline on themselves because, oh, well, what if I fail? What if I fail? If I just never have discipline, if I never have goals, if I never hold myself accountable, if I never have standards for myself, then I can't fail. And then I cannot feel that guilt of failing. I can't feel bad about myself if I never even try. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that for me. I don't like that for you. I don't want us to be like that. Yeah, if you truly fail, if something messes up, if something out of your control happens, or if you do take a couple steps back and you don't get right back up, it's going to feel crappy. I get that. It's going to suck, okay? If you have a goal and you keep getting knocked down, or if you get scammed, or if your business totally tanks and you try as hard as you can to make it succeed, but then you just realize that you either can't, something out of your control happens and it totally fails, or you just keep failing, and you just realize, you know what, maybe this is not actually what I want anymore. Maybe this goal is actually not right for me. Those things are gonna hurt. But just because something could hurt does not mean that it's still not worth putting all of our effort into. Because you know what, it might not hurt. It might not totally fail. It might not totally sink into the ground. You might actually succeed. But I really do think that a lot of people like the idea of New Year's resolutions because they don't have to fully commit to it. And there's a lot of commitment issues in our culture nowadays, but there's also a lot of issues with focus, with discipline, and with holding ourselves to high standards. I always think that it's important to give ourselves grace, to love ourselves, to be kind to ourselves. But I think one of the ways to love ourselves is to be disciplined. I really do. I think letting yourself do whatever you want, whenever you want, I don't think that's love. Because what if whatever you want to do all the time is sleep in late, go out to drink with your friends, do the bare minimum at your job, and not really pay attention to your relationship? What if that's what's comfortable? What if that's all you want to do? That does not mean that it's best. Whatever we're feeling at the time does not mean that that's the best option, because sometimes what we're feeling or sometimes what we want to do is actually not in our best interest. But if we have that discipline, if we have that focus, and if we just have standards for ourselves, yeah, sometimes we might fail. Yeah, sometimes we are still going to have fun and do cool things. Discipline and standards does not always mean I'm going to work 14 hours a day and never have fun and never smile again and like just be this like little robot. That's not what discipline or standards mean. Part of your standards can be I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be smiling all the time. That can be part of your standards. But it also might be being kind to others, being kind to yourself, and having true discipline where you actually know that you're doing what's good and right instead of only focusing on what feels good at the time. And so that's why I really do think a lot of people like the New Year's resolutions, because then they don't have to hold themselves up to any standards. But I just don't think that we are really going to like live our lives to the fullest and see what we're capable of if we let ourselves off the hook all the time. Again, give yourself grace and love for sure. But if we're always just having super low standards for ourselves, then how are you going to know what you are capable of? And I know that not everyone cares about that, but I do. I care about having standards. And I think it's important to do so, especially if you want to like accomplish things in this life. Some people are okay just kind of floating by, but I just don't think that if you are one of those people that you're really going to find out what you're capable of, because you know what? You are more capable than you think you are. Most of those things that you're scared of failing at, you probably wouldn't fail at anyway if you actually focused more on how you can succeed instead of focusing on how can this fail. Focus on how you can succeed, what you can do, what you can be in control of, because we can't control everything, right? But what you can be in control of, focus on that, work on that, and lead with that. Don't lead with the fear. We're going to feel that fear, but do it anyway, you know? And so the New Year's resolutions might let yourself off the hook, but if you continue to let yourself off the hook, then you're going to be 80 and be like, what did I do with my life? I just kind of did whatever I wanted in the moment. And I didn't really accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish. And again, I'm not saying that doing what we want or smiling or having fun is bad. I'm not saying that at all. But if we're only doing what we want in the moment, our feelings change all the time. You know what I mean? And so I really am a big advocate of discipline and standards. So yeah, I basically think that waiting for New Year's, I'm going to start my goal on New Year's, even though I'm thinking about it in July. I think waiting for New Year's is arbitrary. I think it's just cultural norm. And if you want to participate in it, again, by all means. But I think if you actually truly want to accomplish something, then participating in the cultural norm that is New Year's resolutions, but you actually truly want to accomplish something, it just might not happen. It might not happen. Or you're going to need to look at it in a very different way than our culture does, which is in reality, you looking at it as an actual goal. And so the last thing that I want to talk about is something that I actually talked about with a couple of you over on my Instagram. If you want to follow me on my Instagram, it's _underthinking_. I will always have the link in my description, but I like chat with you guys and stuff over there, and I'm going to be posting stories and stuff over there as well. But I was chatting with a couple of you because I talked about this on my Instagram stories the other day, and a couple of you messaged me and we were chatting, and a couple of you did say, you know what, I agree. If I have a goal, no matter what time of year it is, I'm going to start it then. However, However, and they both had similar ideas of this, however, not the same, but similar, in terms of that they like to use the new year to reflect on the past year and to refocus on the new year. So they like to look at, what did I accomplish last year? What did I want to accomplish and didn't? What happened that was a really big deal in my life? What was a major turning point that happened? What were some good times? What were some bad times? They really reflect on the whole year as a whole. And then on top of that, they kind of refocus and think of just some things that they might want to do this year. Here's the thing. As much as I said, if you have goals, do them when you think of them, and only making New Year's resolutions you probably will fail at. Probably, not always, probably. What these girls were talking about, who I talked to, I actually completely understand. And I really do think there is a line between it. And I've talked about this on my main channel, I'm a huge advocate of evaluating your life and reevaluating your goals and really thinking, is what I'm doing in my life working? Is it something that I still feel led to? Is it something that I still think is right and good and appropriate and something that I can get joy from or feel accomplishment from, or whatever the goal is, whatever you're doing. And I understand the idea that I personally do that kind of reflection and refocusing several times a year, but that some people would prefer to do it once a year and have an actual date that they like schedule and that they know this is the time of the year that I'm going to reflect and refocus. And I totally understand that. And I actually think that that can be a really good idea. So whether that's New Year's, your birthday, whether it's the first of every month, you're like, I'm going to reflect on the last month, see what I did, see what sucked, see what was great, and just kind of write down what was happening and then write down what I kind of hope happens in the next month. I do understand the reflecting, the refocusing, the thinking, you know what? Last year I really was spending a lot of the year trying to work on my patience, and I have noticed every 3 days I failed. And so, you know what? I am going to just continue to work on it now. And again, if that so happens to be what you do on the new year, then I think that can be a good thing. All I'm going to say that does stick with all of my opinions about goals is that I don't think it has to be on the new year. I think that reflecting and refocusing are great things to do. I just think that they can be done whenever you think to do them or whenever you plan to do them. And so this is why I want to talk to you guys, because I never really thought of that before. And a couple of you messaged me saying that that's what you do, that you're like, oh no, goals I do whenever I think about them. But I still like to take the new year to kind of think about the last year and think about this year, because one girl specifically who I was talking to, and if it was you, hello, hi. Thank you so much. Everyone who messages me and wants to have these talks and leaves comments, thank you so much. And thank you even just for watching this. But anyway, so this one girl, I asked her, because I'm so curious, right? This is why I made this whole channel, because I'm really curious. I asked her, do you think of your life in years? Do you think of your life as, this is what I did in 2019, here's what I did in 2015, here's what I want to do in 2023? And she was like, you know what? Yeah. She's like, I do think that. I think of life like that. And that was really interesting to me, because I am not fully aware if I do that or not. And I'm curious if you do it too, because I think it's pretty common. Again, we're having this conversation, so it's sparking ideas. I think it's common to do that. Oh, well, I did that in 2019. I also think that I think of years, but in my age years. That was a weird sentence, but you know what I mean. So sometimes I'm more like, I did that when I was 32. But so this girl that I was talking to said that she actually does see life in years. And I am someone who thinks of life as just one really long journey. And so every day I see kind of similar. That does not mean that I am going to work the same, act the same, eat the same, and do everything the same every day. That's not what I mean. But I just mean I see a similar value in every single day. I appreciate every single day equally, you know? And so since I do that, I was like, I wonder if that's another reason why I just reflect whenever. I just refocus whenever. But some people do see their lives in years. And so that's why for them, it makes a lot more sense for them to make goals that have to do with specific years, and they reflect and refocus on the first of the year for that year. So that makes sense too, right? Because it all depends also on how we think and our background and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was really interesting too. And so I totally get that. And all I'm saying about this whole encompassing thing, having goals on the first of the year is not bad. It's not at all. I just hope that if you do have a New Year's resolution, that you just actually, take it seriously. That's all I kind of mean, I don't think that having a goal for a year is a bad idea. I just think that seeing it as a New Year's resolution that's a societal norm and you're just doing it because everyone else is doing it, that's a little bit more likely that you might not accomplish it, because you literally just might give up on it. You might forget about it. You are probably not definitely, but probably not going to be as disciplined. But if you like the idea of having a goal every January 1st, then by all means do it, right? Because we're all so different. I'm just giving you my opinion on why I don't do this and why I think it could be beneficial to maybe do it in a different way. However, if you know that you're like, oh, I love making goals on the first of the month or the first of the year, you're like, I love doing that. And I really do see a lot of benefit in how the rest of my year works out when I really start the year off with goals, then that's awesome. And that just means that you figured out a way to actually make them proper goals and really make sure that you actually do have discipline and you actually do have focus. And if you do have something like a word of the year, right? I know a lot of people have like word of the years. And so if you do have that, and you're like, I want to be patient this year. And that if you actually stick with it and, it's still May or June and you're like, okay, am I still being patient? Am I still really every day thinking, was I patient with that person? Or was I not? Or how am I working on this? Or actually, I noticed this past month that I have worked on my patience a lot more. You know what I mean? So New Year's resolutions in and of themselves are not bad. Making goals on January 1st in and of itself is not bad. I just think the whole idea of New Year's resolutions as a societal norm is such like a vague idea that it's just less likely that you're really going to accomplish anything. That's kind of all I mean by this whole entire video. But if you love making goals on the first, please keep doing it. If it works for you, please keep doing it. That's incredible. I know for me personally that I like making goals when I think of them. But again, if we're talking about discipline, I totally understand the idea of, you know what, once a month, I'm going to come up with another word that I want to focus on for the month in terms of something that I want to work on myself. So this month it might be patience. Next month it might be grace. I totally get that. That's awesome. That's like an extra level of discipline that I think is incredible. I just hope that we all stick with it is kind of the point of this whole entire video. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you just heard where I was coming from, whether you agree or not. It's totally okay, right? We all have different opinions on things. I just always hope that in the comments, I would love for you to comment and share your opinion. I just hope that we can always be kind and respectful in the comments, either when we're agreeing or disagreeing or sharing our own opinion. I just always hope that we can be kind and respectful to everyone else. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this idea, what you think about goal setting. If you have any New Year's resolutions, if that's something that you have found that works for you, please let me know in the comments what you're doing this year. Or if you're someone who's like, nah, I don't do New Year's resolutions, but I have come up with a couple new goals recently and you want to share those, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to have several videos over the next few months talking about goals and goal setting and how to actually start, how to actually keep going and accomplish goals. I think goals are really, really important to have because, again, the discipline in our heads. And discipline does not mean bad. Discipline does not mean punishing yourself, being mean, being rude, being negative. I don't mean it in that way that some people might take it. I just mean it in more like have standards for yourself. Have actual things that you really want to do in life and have focus. That's more than just what you're feeling at the moment, right? But please let me know in the comments what you think about this topic. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I really hope that you're subscribed to this channel as well. I know that this is like a brand new channel, but I really hope that you guys are enjoying it so far. And also, if you want to, let me know in the comments any other mindset ideas that you might have that you want me to talk about in future videos. I would love to hear them. But yeah, I guess that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.